Hello everyone, welcome back to another Unreal Engine 4 tutorial. Now in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to replicate dynamic material instances in your multiplayer game. Now as you can see, every time I hit this cube, the color is randomly changed. However, the color is replicated on both the server and the client. Depending on whether the server hits it or the client hits it, you still get the same output. So to get started, we're going to open up a brand new Unreal Engine 4 project, and we're going to be doing this in the first person default template. So I'm just going to call this dynamic materials and create project. Now we are going to be modifying the first person character just a tiny bit, so their projectiles will actually be replicated on the server. And if we set this to listen server, number of players 2, and new editor window, we can actually see how the projectiles are not replicated. Now, since they're not replicated, we need to set a few changes in the first person projectile itself. The first variable that we need to change is we need to set replicate to true, and we need to check replicate movement. If we compile and save and now open up the first person character, let's first delete a few of this other code that we do not need. I'm going to delete the sound. We can delete all of that. So this code right now is only being run on the server or on the local instance of the game, and we need to change that. We need to set a custom event, and let's call this spawn projectile server. So we want to set this to replicates run on server and plug that in there, and then on input action fire we want to call spawn projectile server. So now right now we have replicated bullets between the server and the client. So as you can see, I'm on the server's instance right now, which is to my right, and as you can see, when I shoot, the bullet is spawned on the server. And if I go to the client, as you can see, it is spawned on the client. So that is the first step done. Now the next step is we have to create an actor to register hits. So let's create a blueprint actor and call it BP_changing lock. Let's add a default cube. We can set it to the root element, and let's set this default cube to replicates. Okay, so now we need to create our dynamic material instance. So let's first create a material, m_dynamic color. Open it up and hold down 3, left click so we can get a vector, and let's convert this to a parameter and call it color. Then let's hold M so we get a multiply node, drag it into the color, and let's just multiply this color by 25 and plug it into the emissive color. Set it to unlit. So now we've got a basic color that we can change this parameter, and we'll get different colors each time we shoot a projectile at the cube. So in order to create the dynamic material instance, we've got to do this under begin play or run, or we can create the dynamic material instance through a function. But in this case, we're going to do it through begin play, and we're going to call create dynamic material instance, and we're going to set the source material to the m_dynamic color. Then let's promote this to a variable. I'm going to call it dynamic mat, and then that's pretty much done with regards to creating the dynamic material instance. So if we launch a game, we can see that if we actually drag the actor in, as you can see right now it's white, but on begin play it has that dynamic material instance on both the server and the client. However, what we need to do now, we're done with this tab, we need to figure out a way to register hits on that block. So the way I'm going to do this is through a blueprint interface. So if we go down and create a blueprint interface, I'm going to call it BPI for blueprint interface underscore projectile hit. Okay, let's make a new function called change color random, and we're gonna have 3 different float inputs, RGB. And now if we save this, we're done with the blueprint interface. We can actually call this inside of the first person projectile. However, before we do that, let's actually implement the interface on the actor that we want to run that function when it's hit. So we can implement this event, and then we can actually set vector parameter value once this event is called. So we have to set this parameter name to the exact value of the parameter in the material, and the value can be created with our 3 different RGB values. However, this is getting called on the server. Well, it will be getting called on the server, and we need to multicast this to all of the different clients. So we want every single client to see this. And the way we do that is we add a custom event, and we're going to call this change color client. And we're calling it change color client since this is going to be running on the clients. However, it's going to be called on the server. So executes on all clients. So if we drag this in here and we drag our RGB variables in, we can now call this on the client. So now what this means is if you are calling a multicast node on the client, it's not going to run because it needs to be the server to actually execute that code. And luckily, since we're calling this interface on the server, we're going to be multicasting this event to all of the clients. So now we have the interface implemented into our changing block, but now we actually need to figure out a way to call this interface. Now, the way I'm going to do it is in the first person projector, we're going to add another custom event, and we're going to call this hit. No, and we're going to call this change color server. We're going to set this to run on server, and we're going to call the change color random message. Now, we're going to have to set the target to the other component, and if the object is not simulating physics, and in this case we're not going to be simulating physics on this cube, we can call this here. So we're going to call the change color server event right here, and then after it calls the event, we're going to destroy the actor. However, we want to set the random value so we get a random color each time. Now, the reason why I'm duplicating the random float value 3 times is that I want 3 different values for the RGB. If I were to plug one random float into all 3 different values, it will give the same value, so we'll only get a grayscale value between. Like, if you try it, you'll only get values between black and white. So I want multicolored, so I'm going to leave it like that. Now, everything should be working. So if I open up the play, and like I said before, our projectiles are like I said before. Okay, so now in the game, our projectiles are still synced between the 2, and if I hit the color changing block, you can see that its replicated material values are shared between the client and the server. And if I start shooting it on the server, you can see how it syncs between the 2. So that's it. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you need any help with any of the code that you saw in this video or any other my videos, just leave a comment below and I'll do my best to help you guys, because obviously every project is different, so it's hard to make one tutorial that fits everybody's need cases. But like I said, if you need any help, just let me know and I'll try to respond as quickly as possible. Until the next one, guys, I'll see you later.